Broadcasting from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
I'm your Glamorous host, David Strausser, and it's time for another epic episode of Shark Bite Biz, your place to learn how to grow a business during complete chaos. Man, we got an incredible show today. We're going to talk to a business owner of a business that you probably would have thought, hey, there's no way this business is going to survive the pandemic. No way they make it out of here. Or if they do, it's going to be skeleton. And it's just not really going to be growing during this time. And I think the conversation that we're going to have actually really proves the points that listening to your customers, giving them value and a unique experience will pay dividends even during a pandemic. It really comes down to finding ways to digitally transform your business, okay? Now, when I say digitally transform, digital transformation has a lot of definitions to a lot of people. And here's another form of digital transformation that you may not have thought of. Since events are essentially all postponed, our guest today, who has an events-based business, essentially found a way to digitally transform his business by taking his services online and bringing life to your next Zoom pub session with your work team. So who are we bringing in today? Zach Schiffman, founder of Studio Z Photo Booths. Probably asking, hey, David, who's Zach? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you. With a dual major in television production and entertainment marketing, Zach has cornered himself a niche market that brings high-end photo and video activations to large brands, small businesses, and mom and pop shops alike. Brands trust Zach and Studio Z to add a creative spin on the age-old photo booth and give their customers and guests a unique and instantly shareable experience. Brand recognition and shareability are the key goals of any successful brand activation, but giving guests a memory they want to share brings out experiences to the next level. So without further delay, let's bring on in Mr. Zach Schiffman.
Creative and innovation tips.
Zach, welcome to Shark Bite Biz. You are now officially Shark Bait.
I love it. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem at all, man. So we have a tradition on this show, okay? Very first question is always, what makes Zach, Zach? Give us your experience, give us your background. How'd you get to where you are?
Sure. So my background starts in TV production, dating back to high school and community access TV and filming high school football games with my dad doing the color commentary as a little father-son thing that we did. And then me translating that into college at Emerson in Boston, Massachusetts, studied TV production and entertainment marketing. Always said to myself, if one day TV doesn't work out, I wanted to have a marketing background to be able to explore other options. Fast forward 12 years and I'm doing both. I work freelance full time for NBC News and the Today Show as a stage manager and associate director. And then on the side, I own my own photo activation company, which is almost, I argue that my side hustle has become my main hustle in the past few years as the business continues to grow and we do fun things. But I love both sides of my life equally. So it's hard to let one go. For sure.
Yeah, no, that's really, really gnarly, I guess you could say, man. That's awesome. And you're in two companies, two industries that are a little bit, different. Mm-hmm. And they both have equally been challenged by the current pandemic, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely, for sure.
So let's just skim on this real quick.
Yeah.
How has it changed with the Today Show, with NBC News, stuff like that because of the pandemic?
Well, the Today Show in March went to a skeleton crew. A lot of the
Yeah.
talent were broadcasting from home, and because of that, the needs for crew and for the safety were taken down. I actually didn't work for about 8.5 months,
Ooh.
from March until right around election time, mid-October, early
Yeah,
November.
yeah.
I'm still not there 5 days a week like I used to be, but I on and off. I'm there a few days a week, hopefully.
Mhm.
But it's all of TV is just a different landscape, the way it's being done. I've picked up. Sorry, the power just went out in my place.
You're up in Boston?
I'm in just outside New York City.
Okay. If you want, we'll just count down and we'll
Yeah,
cut
let me
that
just.
little
My
segment
light
out
is
for you.
flickering. Let me just hit it one
Yeah,
second.
no
Sorry about
problem.
that.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
You pay
So,
for the expensive
Fran-
lights, and then they freak out on you.
yeah. Pancho, just cut that little segment out where
Yeah.
the video started flickering and we got distracted.
No problem.
And then we'll just count back down and just continue what we were saying.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
So the whole TV industry has really changed a lot with the pandemic. The way things are being shot, testing and crews, everything is different. I do work for Food Network as well, and
Oh, wow.
daytime talk on CBS. And we're gearing up for the show I work for. CBS is coming back from hiatus this week, but the show
Okay.
is fully virtual, so I won't be in a control room anymore.
Mhm.
We're doing the whole show on Zoom, and it's like a
No, that's
crazy thing
awesome.
to think of.
Yeah. Well, we do this show on Zoom too, so
Yeah.
I can feel you. Um, so let me ask you that: do you think these are going to be like a temporary blip, or do you think this pandemic is showing that, hey, look, we can scale this stuff down and still put out a good show?
It's
You think it's
totally a
going to turn?
fear. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's an absolute fear of mine that on the grand scheme of things with budgets and whatnot, that people will
Hmm.
think we can do things cheaper
Hmm.
and still get the same output. I don't think. I think everything's cyclical, and there's going to be a time when this vaccine kicks in and we're all inoculated and we're at herd immunity or whatever other buzzword there is. People are going to be eager to start doing things again.
Hmm.
And that'll trickle down to the TV media world, and it'll 100% come back to the event world. On my event
Definitely.
side of it, I've lost everything. I mean, going into March, we were geared up to do Coachella, the Kids' Choice Awards, the Masters, and like
Oh, wow.
overnight, everything was gone. All my
Yeah.
contracts were just, hey, sorry, this event isn't happening. And at first, you were like,
Yeah.
oh my
It's a
god,
pandemic.
and then you just realized that you started seeing the articles come out. Coachella pushed to October. Coachella canceled completely. Everything was just gone, and now we question like what is the event industry? When will we go to concerts again? When will there be marketing activations at festivals? And who knows? And it's a scary thought, but I know the minute that industry is able to safely work again, it's going to come back strong and hard.
Yeah, we had somebody on, I think it was like a 6th or 7th episode of the show, Sam Castro, and he works in the event industry.
Cool.
And one thing that he said, now this is earlier on in the pandemic, I guess he could, midway through from where we're at now, like July-ish.
Yeah,
He was saying hybrid events
yeah,
is a trend that he's seeing
for sure.
because they were doing things where you could have a limited audience in place and then everybody else is joining remotely.
Yeah, and that's something we can 100% get into because my company has fully pivoted from live events to virtual events, and that includes
Mhm.
things like hybrid events. And I've had a lot of talks with colleagues in my industry. I have a lot of close friends that do the same thing that I do. And hybrid events, I think, is going to be the future in
Mhm.
2021 because I think you're going to have. I mean, we can take this a scale back. We're not even talking concerts and like public facing things, but
Mhm.
things like corporate conferences, your Vegas expos. There are going to be people who aren't comfortable traveling or companies that don't want to send their staff to travel because they don't want,
Yeah.
the liability of it all, but they're going to want to be able to participate. And I think now everyone knows what Zoom is. Everyone knows what all these virtual platforms are. They know how to use them. They know what QR codes are. They know how to access from any device. The hard part's done and over with. We could thank our kids going to virtual learning for that too.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting because in that whole thing, I just had a conversation literally today. One of my top employees, her mother passed away tragically yesterday. And she is from India. Her mom was 91, lives out in India. And because of all the travel restrictions, she's not going. And she said, well, we're going to be doing the funeral service via Zoom. And that made me think about 10 years ago, my grandmother died and I was living down in Mexico. I didn't have a way to get back to Pennsylvania. Right. And I was telling people back then, like, hey, can't you just put her up on Skype and let me watch a service? I could say my goodbyes. And it was like, everybody thought that was disrespectful to my grandmother not doing it. And now you fast forward 10 years later, and it's almost like that's the norm now. Right. With these hybrid type events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen funerals. I've seen Jewish shivas. I've seen all of that on Zoom.
Yeah. So from a production standpoint, I mean, are you producing these shows? What's your involvement with these virtual or hybrid events?
So with the events, so we're a photo activation marketing company. We mainly do photo booths and video, camera arrays, other fun types of digital outputs at social events like weddings, mitzvahs, etc. But we focus on the corporate world. So be it corporate parties, marketing activations, concerts, festivals, you name it. But without that happening, we took a look at the virtual world and tried to come up with a way that virtual events can still engage people. So we created a web-based virtual photo.
Is that, let's just dig in right there real quick. Engaging people in the virtual world. I mean, is that easy? Is that hard? Because people tend to multitask, I found, when they're doing webinars.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting because there are things like webinars that people could nod off on. And then there are things just like company happy hours and other team building events that are looking for ways to give their employees or their guests something more than just, hey, let's all sit around Zoom with a cocktail in our hand. And be that you bring in a live mixologist and you send everyone mixology kits and you're creating something together. I've seen oyster shucking. I've seen magicians. This world is exploding. And what we're doing with the photo side of it, a lot of people can say, well, I can take a selfie on my phone. I can use Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. Like, how is this different? We're giving clients a fully branded experience that can be embedded in their web platform or directly linked on any device that has a camera via a link or a QR code. And guests are going into this branded experience. They're taking a photo or a GIF. It's getting instantly branded like they would at a normal photo booth at a physical event. And then we're doing things like contest modes and virtual mosaics. So we worked for Rodan and Fields. They had a 20,000 person sales conference that moved fully virtual in October. So they reached out to us and we put on a 4-day long activation for them. Every day at certain times, the photo booth was changing to promote new products that they were announcing to their sales staff. And in those 4 days, we took 10,000 photos. And after everyone's session, they had a little scratch card and they could digitally scratch it off and they had a chance to win swag or product or a gift card. And, we gave away hundreds of prizes and it just brought this engagement level. I mean, we were looking at the Google Analytics. I mean, they were spending 10 plus minutes on our platform at a time to take various photos. They were all over Instagram.
That's great.
And then we created at the end, or actually in real time, a digital mosaic. So all the photos went into different spaces on a mosaic board that created their logo for the conference. So at the end, everyone got to see each other in one big, large mosaic that hopefully they're hanging up in their office now or something.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's really cool and innovative. And that's a really great way to bring people together. When you were saying that, I was thinking back, my boss joined a webinar. It wasn't a free webinar, it was a paid webinar. And I guess about 2 days before the webinar, as a surprise, he actually received 2 bottles of wine for him to enjoy during the webinar.
Totally.
And he was like, you know what? I am going to this webinar 100% now because they sent me the wine.
Yeah.
So really awesome. This type of innovation that has come out because of the pandemic. I mean, there are some positives in here, and it is what you make of it. One quick question, though. I see on your profile, and it says boomerang booths. What is a boomerang booth?
So it's just like Instagram, where you can take a boomerang, which is a short looping back and forth video. We adapted that technology into our photo booths probably 5-6 years ago now. They constantly evolved from a series of images like boomerang to now we do it with HD video for even smoother output. We do it with confetti tosses or props, or we put them in permanent installations, like in the Sirius XM offices and studios, where after the guests would go on air, they'd come out, they'd see the boomerang booth, their PR team would have them do an animation. It got branded. Sirius XM would put it on their Instagram. The artist would put it on theirs. And it was just a way to promote and excite.
Oh yeah, no, that is really awesome. So before the pandemic started, how digitally transformed was your company? How ready were you for something like this?
I don't think any of us saw this coming, or saw like, if you had told me a year or 2 years ago that the event industry could ever be shut down fully, I would have laughed. Like, how is that
globally?
And for the amount of time. I mean, at first we thought this was going to be 2 months. I still had contract for August, September, and then every month went by and they changed. The virtual stuff came about pretty quickly. It was a crapshoot. It was a chance of, what can we do and will it work? But if it doesn't work, how much investment are we talking? It's some custom coding, it's this and that. But at the end of the day, I'm doing it all from my home office. My team's working on it.
Because it's not just like, hey, you design an image and throw it up. I mean, you have to have developers, coders, and this is all custom built stuff for you.
Right. Absolutely. And it's still evolving. I mean, now that I've done this for 7-8 months, clients are coming at us for different things. We're starting to get harder asked questions like, companies are worried about GDPR and privacy and hackers and this and that. And now, these are all things that we have to then grow and expand and recode to make things possible for our clients.
Right. GDPR, that's crazy, isn't it? Because, I mean, a lot of American companies, I don't think they think about that, especially like your company. I mean, are you actually doing things out there in Europe on a daily basis?
Well, that's the interesting thing about the virtual space is I'm no longer a New York City company. I mean, we travel regardless, but now I'm a global company. And our first clients were like Amsterdam and Germany and Australia. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are short of the time zone. I'll create it for you. And
and it's crazy. And even though you're US based, just because you're doing virtual, you have to technically comply with GDPR.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, GDPR has had a global impact. I mean, we work for mostly a North American company. We do have offices out there in UK, but we have a lot of global clients at Vision 33. I do SAP Business One during my day job. And, we get a lot of global companies. They have offices, headquarters out in Europe. And because of that, we have to be 100% GDPR, GDRP, whatever it is, compliant.
Totally.
Was that a big issue for you all?
No, I mean, for us, it's really, my company doesn't really store data to begin with. Like, the only data capture we do is for the client side, like names and email addresses. We don't do mailing lists based off of events guests. Like, it's just not our thing. So it was a pretty easy disclaimer checkbox when needed, and most clients are fine with that. But now it's entering. We're dealing with a company right now, a large automotive company, American, that has GDPR type rules for California, which are like brand new this year that I guess started in January. But just considering I haven't done anything really since March in the physical space, I wasn't even something I had heard of.
It's California, because I think they were talking about that. I just moved to Philly from Los Angeles, and before I moved, I kind of remember talk about them starting to get a privacy law that was going to be essentially almost like California's version of GDPR that was going to be run out of there. And, I don't know. That's one thing that I think maybe it should be at the federal level, because if you have 50 states doing their own GDPR, that's going to be insane to comply with.
That's what I said to the client. They said, like, are you structured for this? I go, well, I looked it up and the requirements are like, your company needs to make over 5 million in revenue. And like, my company doesn't do that. We're a smaller business. And a few other criteria. And they said, okay, but my client's company does. And I said, okay, then have your client's company's legal team they can send me any disclaimers, any legal text that they need, and I'll implement it. But they have to know what it is more than what I do at the base level, because it's their brand that they're protecting.
This is really interesting. So, I mean, that's costing you to go through legal processes and stuff like that. Like, these are new challenges that you've uncovered because of you doing it virtual. So I've got to ask you then, what about taxes, stuff like that, reporting in a state? Because you look at the Supreme Court Wayfair ruling, and with that, they basically gave the green light. Even if you're a virtual company, you don't set foot in California, if they can oblige you, if you have X amount of income coming from that state, to do tax returns out there. Have you run into that?
A little bit. Basically, I talked with my CPA earlier this year, and we pretty much decided, to be safe, we tax on everything digital. I rather, and to be honest, most of the companies, not most, I'd say about 50% of the companies that hire us have nonprofit tax exemption.
Right.
So it saves us a little bit, which is nice. It's a little less of a hassle. But at the end of the day, we just charge the sales tax for our digital services. It's never been an issue with my clients, thankfully. So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, and I love talking about, like, hey, look, we just pivoted our business, and these are some of the challenges that we've had that I've never had to face before. They're new challenges for us, and how you kind of guide down that path, I think, would be helpful for our customers to hear. Did you have any other challenges like that because of going virtual?
It's just, you're at the mercy of third-party things like Amazon AWS cloud services or domain hosting. If things go down, it's out of your control, and you have to have backup plans. We have a whole backup system that we use because we encountered that once, and it's nothing that we did. It's nothing that we could control, but the cloud server that we use went down for a few hours, and it happened to be during an event. And,
wow.
And those kind of things. I mean, that can happen in the physical world too, of course. But I mean, we all saw Google Gmail went down a few weeks ago, and everybody freaks out.
That's what I was going to say. That over the past 3-4 months, there have been a lot of server outages, and basically, if Google, Amazon, or Microsoft go down, I mean, you're going to know it, because a good section of the internet, especially with Amazon, because I think they're by far the largest cloud provider.
Yeah.
But I mean, we found out, for example, because it happened during working hours for us, and we host a lot of the ERP solutions for our customers.
Sure.
And we start getting phone calls like, hey, we can't connect to the server. And then it's like, oh, crap. So you have a lot of businesses that use that to process all their transactions. Yeah. They couldn't connect at all either. It's crazy.
Sometimes you almost want the bigger end to go down, because it's more tangible to be able to tell people, well, like, hey, if you can't get on Facebook either, like, this is beyond you and us. Like, it's a global thing. If it's a random service that you use, but many others don't, it's harder to pass that buck along, so to speak.
Right.
Not that I want to pass responsibility ever.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that's something that I'll do if I get a customer complaint. I'll just send them an article like from Engadget or
exactly.
Like, Dude, 3/4 of the internet is down right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
With that, I mean, has that taught you anything as far as, okay, what's your plan Z redundancy
Yeah, I mean,
thing?
we've definitely done redundancies. We recently just changed our servers to a more robust, stronger server base. So we migrated
Mhm.
all of our software over. But we do have like a turnkey solution that other companies use that we have also adapted. We have in our back pocket that if for some reason my software goes down, I can recreate the event pretty quickly in this other software that I know uses a different cloud service. So
Right.
if we go down, theirs is probably still up and vice versa. So I do have that redundant.
Right. Yeah. No, we had a huge company manufacturer that has to have FDA approval. And whenever a system would go down, because of how those guidelines are, they have to actually document like what data was lost, what happened, stuff
Sure.
like that. And as part of their emergency plan, they actually needed not just one, but two backup servers, one on a different, like Amazon Web Service instead of the East Coast one.
Mhm.
They want it on the West Coast, okay? And then
Sure.
they also had a third one, which would be on a alternative, I think it was Google Cloud instead. So that way, if Amazon went completely down, they could easily fire up and work from the Google Cloud version.
Totally.
Yeah, no, that's really, really awesome. So let's get back into your
Yeah.
business and how you're helping people. Something that we've talked about a lot of times on this show. We did a whole episode of it with Ed Howie. It's joy. We're in a joy deficit world right now.
Yeah.
And how can you spread more joy to your community, to your colleagues, to your clients? And I think your offering helps do that. I think companies that hire a company like you to put on these things, I mean, it's so much better than just having 5 people sitting around 3 days before Christmas for their virtual holiday party, just
Right.
drinking coffees.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many ways it's been used, and a lot of it does definitely spark joy. We worked with American Cancer Society for all
Wow.
of October, doing virtual photo booths for all the breast cancer walks that were canceled nationwide. They became these like
Wow.
virtual do it on your own walks, and that's those kind of companies have huge sense of communities, and for them
Hmm.
not being able to get together and walk for a cause that's really important to them,
Hmm.
that can be difficult to people. So if I can bring a little bit of joy to a group like that, 100%. I mean, we also did the Red Sox partner with the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and they
Hmm.
did a virtual fundraiser this year. And no one was allowed at Red Sox games, and they have a rabid fan base. And
Yeah.
the Jimmy Fund did their normal fundraising drive virtually, and when guests donated, they got to use our virtual photo booth, which has a feature that, like Zoom, will automatically remove the backdrop behind me,
Yep.
and it put them in the seats at Fenway. And so,
Wow.
like the campaign was like, I help fill the seats at Fenway Park,
Yeah.
and your donation helps fill the seats, and it had such a great response. I mean, but then it trickles down to virtual homecomings for colleges,
Oh, yeah.
or DreamWorks did. They sent a gift care box out to all their employees with like pumpkin
Hmm.
carving kits and stuff for the kids and treats. And in that they had a postcard that was like, "We hope you'll use this pumpkin carving kit. Like, scan this code, use the virtual photo booth, and show off your creation." And like then
Oh,
you just
that's
see like
awesome.
everyone's kids using it, and
That's a really good idea. Now, when they come up with that was DreamWorks, I think you said,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
When they come up with that idea, how much work? I mean, is it custom coding that has to be done, or is
No,
it
so
just you throwing in images? How does that work?
it's the whole system is has a base code to it. So
Mhm.
in that sense, it's done. But every element of it is fully customizable. And I can give you guys a demo link. You can drop it in the description for people to
Oh
try
yeah,
or
yeah. I'll
something.
definitely.
Um,
I'll put in the description the link to your website and the demo
oh,
link.
awesome. Um, so every element is fully brandable. So some clients like us to do it for them, or like a company like DreamWorks that has amazing graphics teams and animators. I send them a PDF of all the specs, and they send me like a box or a Dropbox file
Right.
of everything. And then I just make some tweaks to make sure everything lines up and works correctly. But they pretty much, really make it their own, which is great.
Yeah. 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 You just triggered something in my mind that reminded me of something. And the reason is that they have to send you like a Dropbox link or something like that because they can't send the files via email. That is the one innovation I wish that someone would do during the pandemic, since everybody's sending larger files, is that they would allow you to send more than 20 or 25 megabytes. I mean, at least get it up to a gig.
Oh, I know. Because like when I download all the photos from my server and then I like upload it back to WeTransfer to send a link to a client to down, it's too many steps.
Yeah, isn't that what did you do to kind of make that easier? Just Dropbox to try it, or what?
Dropbox, I use WeTransfer a lot.
Okay.
I just find it very quick and easy, and it's like it's my own backup server too, because everything lives on there indefinitely up to like a terabyte of data or whatever their cap is. So
oh wow,
it's pretty good.
Wow. So let's get into a little bit of your areas of expertise real quick. Okay, with this pandemic going on that just doesn't want to get away. Now, first off, I think we're in a better position in 2021 while there's still a lot more unknowns. It's not like 2020 where in March everything just shut down. We're going into 2021 knowing that this is the situation. Right. People are more prepared for it from a business aspect. But how do you think the pandemic then has really changed the brand activation and exponential marketing?
I think this is going back to us briefly talking about hybrid events and that term that maybe others haven't heard before. And not even so much events, but just the hybrid world. I live in Jersey, just outside New York City, and next to MetLife Stadium, where the Jets and Giants play, is this brand new mall. It's like the size of the Mall of America. They call it American Dream. And it's had so many issues trying to open in the past few years, and it was supposed to open in March. And of course it didn't. And now it's finally open, but not all the stores are there. And I went for the first time last week, and I mean, it was empty. I mean, there were people there, but not what a Mall of America
what you would expect.
Mall would expect. So we're pushing along ideas, and I'm waiting for the right client for this. Take a company like Sephora that is trying to get customers back into their brick and mortars.
Right.
How can we do that? Well, they could do a virtual campaign with our virtual photo booth, and we can custom code something like at the end of their session, they're given a 4-digit code. And the only way they can find out what that 4-digit code is to go to their closest Sephora. And when they go to that Sephora, there's a glass safe that has products or a gift or a prize in it. And they enter that 4-digit code, and it'll either unlock or do nothing. And if it unlocks, they win what's inside. But now you've brought that customer back into maybe a place they weren't expecting to go because they're so used to ordering online. I mean, you could also do that with just a QR code on a sign outside the store in the mall, just to catch people's attention.
That's a really, really awesome hybrid idea. I mean, I'm blown away. That is amazing. I love that.
I wish I could say I've implemented that yet. I'm waiting for the client to reach out. I'm waiting to find one, and maybe it's on me that I need to make more cold calls.
Sephora, if you're listening, give Zach a call.
Or anyone that owns a brick and mortar, especially large scale in a mall or a place where traffic is lower. I mean, it could even go to restaurants. It can go anywhere.
We just got a large client. I cannot say their name on the air because of an NDA that they signed with us. But I think we should have a discussion offline about that because they do have retail store and their business is booming via online, digital sales, e-commerce, but store traffic itself has been suffering.
Right. And that makes you question, like, what's their overall bottom line if online sales are up, but their store traffic is hemorrhaging? Like, are they coming out on top, or are they worse off? Or do they need to shut down and just pivot to online? Like, but no one wants to shut down a physical presence. Like, I don't know, it's tough.
I mean, I think physical stores may turn out to be more like what was it, like Amazon's Go store or
Yeah.
something like that. I think that's probably going to be closer to the future of how a lot of stores operate now.
And if you want to hear something crazy, I've seen an Amazon Go store close during the
Wow, really?
pandemic. Yeah, they built one in 30 Rock where I work. I mean, you're talking the heart of New York City,
Yeah,
and they it used to be a Brookstone, and they built, I guess it was an Amazon Go. It was like the convenience store where you walked in and you just grabbed what
yeah,
you want and you walk out,
yeah.
and it knew who you were, it knew what you took, and it built your Amazon account. It was awesome. I loved it. Like, it was just so
Yeah.
great, and just not to have to interact with anyone, just grab what I want. And they actually had decent grab and go food. And that concourse that lives under 30 Rock, where it's basically a small mall food court type thing, has really gone under. A Starbucks has been closed there for 9 months
Oh,
just
wow.
because they're not getting the foot traffic, and they generally don't allow the public in there much anymore, unless you're a tenant of the building. And that Amazon store just up and disappeared. I mean, and it was under a year old.
Hmm. Wow, that is crazy, and I guess that's because of the foot traffic, like you're saying. But
Yeah,
I'm going to dig into that and kind of find out more because I do think that's interesting about that whole Amazon Go store.
yeah,
So let's touch on one final topic
yeah,
here
sure.
before we get rolling. Okay, we've talked about a little bit Instagram, Twitter. How can companies really though use a product like yours for the social media, as their solution to get
Sure.
people engaged?
Yeah. We'll go back to years ago in the physical event world and stuff, and it sparks my mind because I said the word Brookstone. We did an event for iHeartRadio. They do a concert every year called Jingle Ball. It tours the country. It's like your top 40 acts, and they're very hard to get tickets to. And before the event, they do a fan festival, usually in a
Hmm.
different area or out, depending on its location, outside the stadium, etc. And this festival is smaller concerts and probably about 50 brand activations. That's all it is. It's an opportunity
Right.
for companies to market their products to teenagers. So we were doing a setup for Brookstone. They were promoting Ariana Grande's cat ear headphones, which were these ridiculous headphones with like cat ears that had speakers in them. And we did a boomerang booth with confetti. It looked like a sound booth. So
Yeah.
there was a phone, you put the headphones on, we threw confetti, you pretend like you were recording a song. And what we did was they were offering a pair of tickets to that concert. And most of the
Mhm.
people that are at the Fan Fest do not have tickets to the concert because they couldn't get them. Um,
Right.
so what they had to do to win was share it to Instagram from a public account with various tags and hashtags. And they picked
Hmm.
from that. And I think we did in the course of like 3 hours, like 450 sessions. And I think 400
Wow.
people posted them to Instagram.
Oh,
And
that's great.
I mean, so like just the viral interaction of getting a
Right.
product and a brand recognition out on Instagram
Hmm.
in such a short period of time was great. And we
Hmm.
announced, we DM'd these two girls that won, and we heard their screams from across the festival, and they just came running, and they were
Oh,
so
wow.
excited.
That's pretty awesome. And
Yeah,
getting something, a hashtag or something like that around your brand or product, I mean, that can be better than just paying for
hey,
pay-per-click
and
advertising.
I say it to my clients all the time because a lot of clients will say, "Hey, why isn't this getting traction on Instagram or Facebook or
Hmm.
whatnot?" And I go, "This isn't 2009 and the dawn of Instagram, and people know what hashtags are now. Back then, everyone was just like hashtag Pepsi, hashtag Coca-Cola, like it was the cool thing to do. But now,
Right.
everyone knows the Kardashians, everyone knows an influencer. People want to be paid for their time. Why am I promoting your brand for free? Cool, you gave me a photo. Why should I tag you in it?" Um,
Right.
but if they have the chance to win something or get something out of it, that
Hmm.
skyrockets up. Because
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I did it the other day. I wanted to win free chicken wings from a new restaurant in town, and I had to like tag someone and share it to my story. I did it. There was free promotion to my 3,000 followers,
Yeah.
but like I don't think twice of it. I'm like, ooh, free chicken. Like, and it's
Yeah.
simple. It's something so small, but I wouldn't have done that any other day. Like,
Right. 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 Yeah. You don't usually post about chicken wings.
but incentive incentive breeds marketability. People want to be incentivized to do something.
What's the acronym? With him. What's in it for me?
Exactly.
Yeah, and you have to meet that need to your potential clients, to your audience. And if you do, then you should get the results that you're hoping for.
Yeah. And if for some reason, a client doesn't have something that they can give away or they don't want to, the things we try to do are so much more unique that they generally stand out on their own and people want to post them. Photo booths have been around for years, but we do things like 360 slow motion, which is like very red carpet, very Oscars, things that people have seen celebrities do that they want to be part of. And when you do something, a higher end activation like that, then people are more apt to post those things naturally and organically. They may not mention you, but any of our outputs are fully branded. So even if they don't, mention Sephora, it's going to have that Sephora logo in the corner, or there's going to be some.
Did you hear that, Sephora?
Yeah, some sort of on-site branding, be it a custom enclosure, backdrop, some sort of prop, or a full build out. Something's going to represent them there, and subliminally, it's going to get across to people.
Yeah. So in good faith, I guess, because of the hashtag, I'll say hashtag mic drop, because this has been an amazing interview. It was extremely informative, fun. You're doing something really innovative and awesome. I love it, 100% behind it. How can people get in touch with you, Zach?
Yeah, they can visit studiozphotobooths.com/event-planning-guide. It's a free guide on creating a successful event during this socially distant time. That's free for all your listeners. Or feel free to just email us. All of our contact information is right on the site. If you have an idea, pitch it to us. If it's not something you see in our site, we love creating new things. We're always open to new ideas.
Definitely sounds like it. New challenges.
Yeah.
Especially for Sephora.
My favorite thing are creative clients. There's nothing worse than when a client just says, like, here's my logo. Like, show me who you are. Give me your branding. Give me style guide. Show me what your marketing efforts are, and we'll do our best to match it. We want to make it concise and seamless to the rest of your identity. We don't want to be something, stuck out. I get this a lot with like an event planner. They'll say, oh, we just want a photo booth with a white backdrop. And then I get there and there's like some crazy neon floral wall that was custom built. And I'm like, this would have been awesome. And they're like, I didn't think of that. I'm like, but throw me the ideas.
It is what it is. And you're a creative entrepreneur as well too. And I think a lot of time creatives like you, they end up making some of the best businesses out there because it's just so, maybe you're reinventing the wheel, but you're reinventing it with your special flair on it, giving it that spark of creativity that it's currently lacking. And that's what I really love about your company. It's great. Everybody, please make sure you visit his website. Look at his event planning guide. Zach, thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on after the pandemic to tell us how
hopefully we'll have some cool stories. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And we'll hear about the Sephora follow-up. Thank you again, Zach.
No problem.
Yep. Cheers. Wow, that was a great chat with Zach, right? First off, you all know the routine. If you love this interview, if it made creativity swirl around in your brain, do us a favor, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and if you really want to do us a solid, I mean, this is a big deal here, do us a favor, share this out to your network. Let's get it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Let's get Studio Z, Shark Bite Biz trending on social media. Now, let's get back to Zach. First off, kudos to him for finding a way to innovate and really build a unique business concept that, quite honestly, I think he's kicking butt. It really feels like he's just starting to scratch the surface of the full potential that this business can really do. I mean, he's got some pretty gnarly ideas out there, and I gotta say, I'm really impressed with his thought process and everything that he wants to do with this business and what he's able to do. It's one of those scenarios where it's like, if you dream it, we can build it. Another item he discussed was about making people post about your business, getting people to talk about you, People like this kind of stuff, especially if it's a cool picture with a nice background, filter, whatever it must be. And they're going to use it. They're going to tag you or use your hashtag. And that is real organic marketing for your business from everyday, ordinary people. I mean, you gotta love it. To me, Zach is a marketing genius. He's able to give brands a fully branded experience that can be linked to or it can be built right into their site online. I mean, the contest modes, the virtual mosaics, all that stuff, the options of creativity, and it really brings a lot of unique ways to get the word out, or even just as simple as pull your team together. I mean, the options are limitless. Lastly, I want to discuss innovation and how he's found creative solutions to be able to show his customers and their end users pretty much has shown them value and love. Even though we are all far apart, this is something that's allowing people to connect and feel like they're part of something cool. And as we said during this interview, and we even had Ed Howie on the show about this a couple episodes ago, we are in a joy deficit. And Zach's company here is really, in an incredible way, by the way, bringing smiles back to our faces, our lives, giving us that moment of joy that we are all looking for. This past year, I mean, we haven't had those true monumental days that are kind of like landmarks. Oh, yeah, I did this in January. I mean, last couple months, except for maybe Christmas and Thanksgiving, it's all a blur to me. And I'm sure many of you all are out there as well, too. This is something that can kind of break that monotony for everybody. So what did you think? Today's question of the day is, what do you think of Zach's business and the model and how he's listening to his customers and their customers to bring those unique experience? Is that something you could envision your company using? What do you think? What ideas are swirling around in your mind with all of this creativity? Tell us on YouTube in the comment section below. Always looking forward to hear about that. Also, don't forget, if you got an amazing story to tell, you want to talk about your business just like Zach did, shoot me an email, david@sharkbitebiz.com. I want to have every single person that wants to come on this show. We'll have you on, but it all starts with that eval. So, as a reminder, I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz, and we'll see you all next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.